joining us. My name is Lucy Sacco, and this is Master Artist Class, a program designed to introduce master artists from the late 19th and early 20th centuries by offering a brief lecture on the artists' lives and their painting styles, a segment with images of each master artist's works, and lastly, we will paint our own rendition of one of the featured artist's paintings. In today's episode, we will continue our studies of Vincent Van Gogh, and we will also be discussing Van Gogh's painting obsessions with wheat fields and cypress trees. During his artistic career, he painted campaigns of subjects such as cypress trees, olive trees, tree trunks with undergrowth, and wheat fields. In Van Gogh's paintings of cypress trees, it is said that the cypress tree is symbolic of the bridging of the material world and the heavens. Today, we will be painting Wheat Field with Cypresses, painted in the September of 1889, the autumn before Van Gogh's death the following summer. During this time, he was primarily staying at St. Paul de Mausole Asylum in St. Remy, where he created small copies of paintings that he wanted to share with his family. This was an idea influenced by his sister Will's suggestion. Wheatfield with Cypresses was included in 5 copies of original paintings he already had done. He sent these home to his family for his mother's 75th birthday. Please view the upcoming segment where you will see some examples of the many campaigns that Van Gogh took a passionate interest in. Notice the vivid colors and high-relief, passionate brushstrokes in these stunning paintings by Vincent Van Gogh. Enjoy. will be painting wheat fields with cypress trees. It's another complex painting by Vincent Van Gogh, and it's going to take some time. If you need a list of supplies, you can go to my website, masterartistclass.com, and there'll be a list of supplies there for you. I'm going to get going on this painting. It's going to take some time, and we will again be using the many small brush strokes and dabs and dashes that we have in past paintings. So here we go. Let's get to work. Today, shockingly, we have 20 colors. I'm going to start with my 3/4-inch flathead brush. And of course, I don't need a lot of water because these are going to be fairly thick brush strokes. I'm just going to start with a light blue over the sky area. I can see the rendering right through. So I'm just going to sort of go quickly over that. There are 20 colors, but they're only in a few places. There are several colors that go in a few places. So it's not extensive. And I have done this painting at different paint and sip sort of events. And everybody can do it. But this one, the one that I'm doing today, is going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to take care to put all the brush strokes in, as many as I can. So I'm going to start with different layers of paint. So let's see, the middle color is a sort of a light yellowish chartreuse color. That's going to go here. And then, well, I'll just go all the way down with that. Just going to move this over a little bit. The middle color, what I do in these paintings are I take the color that is most prominent. In other words, in the sky, there happens to be a lot of light blue. And I know that it's going to show up in a lot of different places. But in the grass area, there happens to be a lot of yellow. And so I just use that color. And then I'll go back in and I'll put in little brush strokes of the other colors. So the middle happens to have a middle green. Now in painting and in drawing, a secret that many artists know of is there are basically 3 colors. There's going to be the middle color, then there's going to be shadows, and then after that there'll be highlights. So I'm going to use the middle color green in the middle area here. So it's going to be sort of I'm going to use my tapered brush for that because there are trees and there are different sort of trees. I'm going to go with a little bit darker. the middle color. I've got to stick with my own philosophy here. So I'll put in this middle color. And now I'm pointing my tapered brush up so that I can see some of these bushes in the background. They have branches sticking up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just copying what I have in front of me here. I'm just going to paint that over everything, the middle green. Then there's some blue mountains here in the distance. There are some golden wheat fields sort of back there. In these paintings, you might feel a little bit intimidated. I really don't want you to feel intimidated. It's easy. And I know it takes me some time to prepare for a painting. Like I pre-mixed a lot of these colors. And it takes a little time to prepare, but in the end, it's fun to just go ahead and put the colors down. I don't mind taking the time to prepare. So because Van Gogh used an impressionist style of painting, even though he was considered a post-impressionist artist, the reason why they say post-impressionism, well, his work, while it contained a lot of the sort of things that impressionism, colors and trying to blend them, and he wasn't successful as an impressionist artist. He just wasn't. It didn't suit him, and he came up with his own idea, and each brush stroke is unique, every single one. So there's some green down here. I'm going to go ahead and put that down here. I'm not being very careful, as you can see, because I know I'm going to be putting other colors over the top. Okay. All right. I really pound my brush down into the bowl to make sure it's nice and clean. And then I dab it on the paper towel. So now that the sky has had a moment to dry a little bit, I'm going to go back into the sky. And I'm going to take my light yellow. I'm going to take that with my tapered brush. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm looking at my copy. And I'm just going to start putting it down. And it doesn't really matter if it's exactly like what's down here on the copy. It doesn't matter if it's exactly like that. Clouds are unique and they change shape, and you know, I love these billowy, swirly clouds. There's a little bit of that turbulent activity going on. Oops. And I posted the mathematical characteristics of these paintings. I posted it on my Facebook page, Master Artist Class. And you can see it. It's done in sort of a simple way. It's explained in a very simple way. You know, I would just have fun with the clouds as much as possible here because the rendering that I have here isn't exactly right. It's a little bit different than what is on the copy. So you're just going to relax, enjoy it. Wherever it's white, I'm putting yellow, as you can see. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some more color down. I'm sure he did his sky first. The sky was probably the first thing he did. And because you've got these things in the foreground. So usually you do the background first and then work your way to the foreground. It's okay if you cover up part of the paint that you've already put down. It's okay. Let's see. Okay, so that's the yellow in the sky. Now I'm going to put in, I'm not going to work on the sky for now. I'm going to start working my way down here. I think I'll put in the blue mountains while everything's drying a little bit. So I'm using sort of a middle blue here, down here. And then there's a darker blue that is an outline. You wouldn't think that such a simple scene would become so complex. But from what we know of Van Gogh, of course it's going to be complex. Of course it is. He didn't take anything lightly with his painting. It was very serious work here. But we don't have to be serious about it because he showed us everything we need to do. We can take our time. We can make it simple for us. Okay. So there's so many colors, but there's only a couple of spots for each color. Now I think I'm going to move into my grass down here. So the grass area has sort of like an orange, it's part raw sienna and a little bit of burnt sienna mixed together. So there's several different shadows and dots. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those in. I'm using the very tip of my tapered brush. Very tip. And there are so many little dots. It's going to take time here. I'll try to go easy on you, but just take your time with this. It can be very fun and therapeutic to do this sort of painting. So I thought it was very interesting that his perspective of the cypress tree was that it was the gateway or the bridge from the material world to the heavens, and or the spiritual world, as it was said in one of the books that contains a lot of his correspondence with his brother. And it talked about his time at St. Remy. I think when you spend a lot of time alone, like we have with the pandemic going on now, I think it's easy to become more spiritual, sort of. Like, what do you have? What do you have left? If you're just there by yourself. And I think it's a great opportunity to really kind of look within yourself and listen to what sort of things are inspiring you. And I think that while he was at the St. Paul de Mausole asylum, Van Gogh really had time for inner reflection and to be inspired by nature and creativity and whatnot. And I mean, I think that's why a lot of artists enjoy being alone anyway. You know, it takes energy to be creative, and it takes a lot of thought. Like, so if you decide you want to create something, then you have to figure out how you're going to do it. How am I going to create this piece of art? And it takes a lot of thought sometimes. Sometimes people are just spontaneous. They're just inspired to do whatever they do. But I can tell you right now, this painting was not painted spontaneously. This painting took a lot of thought, and it took a lot of organizing. He had to do drawings of it first, and then he would probably do different sketches and different paintings. But, I mean, when you've done 2,000 paintings or close to it, or a couple thousand drawings and paintings, you have a pretty good idea of how you want to do this sort of thing. So it takes a lot of practice. I wonder how many of you are planning to go to the Van Gogh exhibitions in Boston and in New York City. I plan on going to both of them because they're immersive environments, and you're basically going to be immersed in Van Gogh paintings. And they got booked right away. They got sold out right away. But I'm really excited about that. So yeah, there's quite a bit of this color actually. I'm surprised right now. I usually do a painting before the same exact painting I do at home, if you can believe it. Just so I know if there's any hurdles to cross. In this case, the rendering is a little bit different than the copy. So I have to really pay attention to the copy. And this rendering is actually the drawing that Van Gogh did before this painting. It's his actual drawing. Now, I just had some books made up. I had these books made up, and they're going to be on my website. And they have the copy of the painting, and then they have the rendering. And so they are disintegrating books. Like they have, the Starry Night, and then they have the rendering too. So you'll be able to get the book, and you'll have your copy and your rendering all ready to go. And so hopefully that'll make things easier for people. I think I'm going to start working back into the sky again. So now in the sky there's a deeper blue. And that blue is also in these mountains here that I've put in. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting that blue in. I'm just looking at the shapes that are in the sky. If they're there, great. You know, other than that, I'm just taking my time here. Just, you know, clouds are not straight lines. They're not illustrated, so you can be, you know, painterly with these clouds. I want you to just relax and kind of dab here. So dab. I still have my tapered brush. I suppose I could use a different brush right now with that. I think I will. I think I'll use a round brush. We don't use many round brushes because, I don't know, I just feel comfortable with my tapered brush, and it's easy to just get stagnant with that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to use a round brush now because that kind of makes it a better, more dappled sort of look here. And I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to go back in and you're going to use other colors over the top. So it's all a little bit of now it looks like I'm drawing here, and maybe I am a little bit, but he was so illustrative, sort of. One of these cypress tree paintings, Wheatfield with cypresses, was up at the Clark Art Institute when I went up there. It was on the big wall. They had it blown up the size like 20 feet high or 30 feet high, and it was really very remarkable. It was so beautiful. There's so many different color blues here. There's lighter blue. So I'm going to use a little bit of a darker blue on these mountains now, just to kind of outline them. And then there's a Prius blue we'll have to use. Getting there. I'm just following the copy. I'm going to let the sky dry a little bit while I work on the trees and the shrubbery. So let's go here. I'm going to use a lighter green now, which is here. There's going to be a darker green for shadows. Vincent used a ton of green in his paintings. So much green, and there's so many different varieties of green in this painting. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different greens. And this painting has 20 colors, so out of the 20, 8 of them are green. Pretty amazing. And they're all necessary in order to create the natural coloring in nature. Okay, so there's a little bit of that light green over here, just a dab. No. Yes, I'll just keep working on that for a bit. There's a little bit of an olivey color green. He really took a lot of interest in these sort of wild shrubs and greenery. You can just see how intrigued he was with it all. Nothing was easy for him. He just loved it so much. He was so passionate about it. And this painting, he did have some mental illness when he was doing this work, but this gave him solace. It really helped him to heal, really. I mean, he was healing. And he only took his life when he thought that his brother Theo wasn't going to help him anymore. He misunderstood. There was a misunderstanding, and it was very sad. But this was a happy thing for him. He enjoyed these wheat fields. Some of the wheat fields he was sort of obsessed with. I don't know what happened there. I got green in there somehow. He was obsessed with these wheat fields. It was so interesting to him. There was a big wheat field outside of his first room at the asylum. And he would see like farmers plowing, and he would see people sowing the seeds. And he considered that to be symbolic of Christ. Like, he thought that it was a way of him to, I mean, he was Protestant, but it was a way for him to sort of tie nature and spirituality together. And I think there were what they called naturalists. And they were people that were doing the same thing around that time. And I don't honestly know if he inspired that, but that was kind of a common thing back then, to see greatness in nature, the greatness of God. I mean, this isn't a religious show or anything, but that's what they thought back then. And I feel very spiritual in nature as well, but you know, it's just it's wonderful. Wonderful. I'm sort of mixing it as I go, because there's actually another green. Pretty interesting how many greens he put in this painting. And the colors are so vivid, too. What a wild. There's a lot of white in the sky also, and I'm going to do that later. But, just relax. Just kind of try to do the best you can. It'll all work out. Haven't gotten to the white yet. I'm not really using any water. I'm just washing my brush. I wonder if I think that there's something you can use to thicken the paint a little bit. If you wanted to, you could. I'm just going back in to cover up some of the rendering. I don't want any of the rendering to show through. I really don't. I just want it all to be paint. I really like this painting. There are so many paintings I could choose from to do these classes. And this is, I think, a significant one. I gotta step back. It's getting a little intense up there. Boy, this guy, all these dabs and dashes. Whoa, really intense. And the paint is so thick. Like, I wonder how long it took him to do this painting, really. Like, I wonder, because he was using oil paint. We're using acrylics. It's a lot different. It is a lot different. So, wow. I guess I can use a different brush now. I'm going to use a different brush, like a 1/4-inch flathead brush. I'm going to go in and start putting some of the white clouds in. You can see that's going to make a huge difference. Put a big globs of white. Put lots of texture and high relief in there. Now you might wonder, I'm sure it seems like I have a little bit of forgetfulness. Maybe that's true, but the thing is I have a difficult time multitasking. So if I'm painting and I'm trying to talk, usually I don't talk when I'm painting, and this just happens to be the way it is for this particular program. And if I'm stuttering on words and having a difficult time thinking about words, what I'm going to say, it is because I'm painting, I'm thinking about painting, and it takes my thought and energy. So that's why I might repeat myself, or maybe I kind of do things a little bit differently, sound a little bit confused maybe. I am thinking. Trying not to muddy up my colors in the sky because they are very sort of not muddied up. So let's see, some billowy clouds. Ooh, it looks like such a wonderful sunny, like maybe a Indian summer sort of day. Oh, I love those kind of days in the Berkshires. We really have some beautiful days. This looks like a top 10 day in the Berkshires. At the country club, you can see all the mountains in the distance. Beautiful. I got some real thunderheads here. Beautiful clouds. And you know, it's a little bit stressful sort of painting within a certain time frame. I would normally probably take a longer time to paint this. Let's see. So this sky has lots of layers in it. Lots and lots of layers. I have to back up again. Swirls and dashes and dabs. Tons of dashes and dabs in here. It's easy to get muddied up. So try to not overdo it. Like it's easy to keep doing something over and over again. And then you got mud. I'm going to just put another coat of green in here and maybe a couple of dabs of yellow. And then I'm going to let it be. Part of being an artist is knowing when to stop, knowing when to let go. I guess that's part of life in general, knowing when to let go. Okay, there's some lighter blue here. Some of his colors are mixed together, and that's what's making it a little bit complicated here. You want your yellow to really stand out, really stand out. So now I'm going to go back in and put the the yellow in there. Even though we put that down a long time ago, you really want that color to stand out, because that is what sort of stands out the most here. All right. So that's all I'm going to do on the sky for now. We might go back. And now I'm going to start moving into the brush again with my tapered brush. And I'm going to put the dark color in now. I'm going to put the shadows in. So it's going to be a little bit different than, it's going to make this painting really pop, these shadows. Just to sort of light, touch it lightly. If you make a mistake, you can wash it off. That's another nice thing about these acrylics, is that you can actually wash off a dab of paint that you just put in, if you do it right away. Now I'm not going to cut corners on the cypress tree this time, because that's really important. So just kind of it's got a lot of branches sticking up. Fairly dark. Don't press down on your brush. Just touch it. Just sort of dab very lightly. Very, very lightly. There's going to be some Prius blue, and that's going to be the darkest color of this painting. This that I'm using now is a little bit of phthalocyanine and Prius blue mixed together. But I'm going to go in with full Prius blue in a minute to darken everything up. It's too easy to sort of create the same brush strokes. You don't want to go just jagged lines down here. They're all different swirls and shapes. His clouds look very illustrated, even though they're not. I guess this phthalo. I'm going to use Prius Blue now. I'm going to just go in and use the Prius Blue with my small round brush now. And that's got some more deeper colors so that it looks like black. Oops. I am not pressing on my brush, by the way. I'm trying to be very careful with this. And there's a little bit of this mountain up here. Now I'm going to go into the cypress tree. Now the cypress tree has 4 colors that I can see in it, probably many more, but he probably was mixing them as he went in some regards. Maybe. I would have loved to see his process, though. I would love to see him do this painting. I doubt it's going to be anything like I'm doing. You know, I'm just trying to get an idea and give an idea of how much work is involved into this sort of thing. When you look at a painting, you see the beauty of it, but you don't really see how that artist went about it. How did they produce it? How did they do it? I mean, it's just tricky. You have no idea the work involved. And now you might have an idea of how to do it yourself. And, you know, it's just like reading or just like math. You practice at it. You have to practice and learn how to do it. Things are a little bit illustrated over here in this little section here. Coming down to the home stretch. Aren't those good words to hear? Okay, a couple more greens. I don't know, my green might be dried up now. Okay, here it is. Down here, we're going to put some more green. A different kind of like an olivey sort of green. And I don't want to see my rendering. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the lines from the rendering. There are a few little red flowers and some burnt sienna, and I think we're going to be finished. Okay, little red flowers are right about here. I'm just going to dab a couple of dots there. And then there's some burnt sienna. And that is kind of putting some depth to this, a little more this back. It's a little richer color than the raw sienna. just going to look at my sky one more time. So the sky looks a lot different than the one that's there. And I think part of it is because it's a little bit, the whole rendering was a lot different than the copy. But let's see. Let's try to figure this out. I'm just going to go with the flow. And you know, I feel pretty good about it right now, as it is. Keep your colors pure, if you can. I see a lot of shapes. I see a lot of shapes that I don't have. Let's see. There you go. It's almost like he used the yellow as an outline in the sky. He used a lot of yellow for the outline. And you know, I don't think I'm going to try to fix it. I think I'm just going to go with the flow. And I hope that you do too. I hope that you really just enjoy painting this painting and doing it your own way, just having fun with it. Yeah, I feel like I'm done. Sometimes you have to just say, that's it. I hope you enjoyed yourself today. I enjoyed myself. I look forward to hearing from you. If you need a list of supplies or a rendering, go to my website, masterartistclass.com, and you can find those things there. Thank you for joining me today. Have a good day, and so long.